how I make big art in our tiny house. Welcome to our off-grid tiny house on wheels. I've grown very attached to our tiny house kitchen, put a lot of love into its creation, and I found myself making drawings of it again and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and a couple more times. But I want to create something big. A painting of our tiny house kitchen to scale, made inside the very tiny house itself.
And here it is again.
I did the largest measurement I could possibly fit inside the tiny house studio and built a stretcher bar from scratch, wrapped it with canvas, and began the gesso sand dance. Time to make oil paint from all earth pigments and some hand ground stones. Figuring out what colors I need to make my next painting. So this is my process of how I make my own oil paints from earth pigments. So a lot of the stones I hand grind, but then I also have a great source of earth pigments, which I can link down below. They have beautiful mineral earth pigments from throughout the world, and that's how I'm able to get blue, because there's no blue stones here in New England. All right, I'm reloading this one. Some of them get too crushed and I can't open them back up again, but luckily this one I can, so I can make some more pigment and put it inside. So once I'm done making my paints, I add them to these empty paint tubes, and then I make little labels and tape them on so that I could see what color is inside. I close them with my canvas pliers that I use to stretch my canvas, and make a huge mess. Lavender blue, classic red ochre, cypress green, a new green, ooh, natural yellow, beautifully refilled buff titanium. I've lived a long life. And with that, painting prep is done. With all these paints made, I'm ready to get started on the painting process. I like to work from a combination of observation and from a photograph, so that's why I do a series of preparatory sketches, so I really get the essence of what I'm trying to paint, and that will be infused into the work. Those sketches are super helpful for me. They're basically like this giant warm-up, so then once I'm actually ready to go, after all that prep, I can jump right into the painting. Honestly, the first day of painting, the first kind of 8 hours is where I usually establish pretty much all the major players. This is where I like to say I buy real estate for all of the different pieces, especially within a super large painting. It is so essential that I move around as much as possible. It's always important for me to continue sketching and working on new things while I'm working on a larger piece. So I actually put these sketches behind my large painting. So if you take the painting down, you can see there's a bunch of sketches behind. I use a glass palette to mix my oil paints before I add them to my canvas. At this stage, I'm really working to establish large blocks of color. I'm honing in on my drawing, going back and forth, stepping back as much as is possible in such a small space.
Which takes up the whole studio. All right, I'm coming into the studio with it looking like this. Very much preliminary stuff. There's some detail going on just so I could kind of pull things forward, but it's very much in the beginning stages.
Working large scale for me is such a huge proponent of my practice. Being able to involve my entire body in the process and have my entire peripheral vision consumed with the canvas helps me really sink into the world and create that same experience for the viewer as well.
literally just sitting on the table so I can get a good look.
Tiny house things.
Just tiny house things. Just trying to actually look at my painting, but I can't possibly back up enough, so I'm just like against the window.
This is when I found out I was being represented by the Triangle Gallery in Rockland, Maine, and that they wanted me to submit 2 tiny pieces for a group show, which I was like, okay, I usually make extremely large work, but this is a really fun challenge, so I got started on those as well. I've made some progress. I did a lot on these mushrooms. Details going. I think that I'm gonna do maybe like 30 more minutes on this, and then I'm gonna take a break for the day. I absolutely did not stop in 30 minutes. All right, we are at the start of studio day. Up to this point, I was using 2-inch brushes, 1-inch brushes, and now this is where I got into using maybe 3/4 inch brushes and 1/2-inch brushes and a little bit smaller as well, because I was able to actually start working on some details and really hone in on specific areas. I'm still making sure to run around, and if I've mixed a color and I can see this throughout the painting, that's where I move. That's kind of my motivator to get up and move around and find it within each space.
2 pumpkin muffins and a dairy-free, gluten-free gingerbread donut.
What?
Yeah.
What is this sorcery? I eat some muffins. The pumpkin muffin. So the cleanup process is pretty involved, not just because I'm working with oil paints and I'm doing multiple pieces and it's super large, but mainly because this is where we live and sleep and eat and do absolutely everything. Sure, I do a really good job every night so that we can actually sleep there and eat dinner there and do everything we need to do. I'm very excited because I just got a new book in. I'm really excited to read it. I've had the first version of it when I went to art school the first time. This was in my freshman starter kit. It's awesome because it's really like talking about professional practices and things like that. So this was a good resource for me after school, but the world has changed a lot since 2011. This is a more up-to-date version and it's a little bit thicker and it's yellow. So I'm gonna be working through this book. I wanna read everything, take notes, and just adapt and update anything that I should. And I'm just really wanting to take a systematic look at my professional practices because it's always changing, it's always evolving. My goals have definitely sharpened up in the last just like 2 years since graduating from my master's. I've definitely had different goals and bigger goals, and to accommodate that, definitely looking forward to reading this book. Today's studio session is all about this painting. I'm definitely going to be working on these little little babies. It's so weird to work on something so small. I'm definitely having trouble communicating what I want in one of them. One of the pieces I'm really happy with, and I think I might just take pictures of it because I think it's actually done. Going to be working on is basically systematically going through the entire painting and seeing what details I can get in there. So just really fine-tuning the darkest darks, the lightest lights, getting those really nice highlights, finding ways to communicate. I really just want to crisp it up. So this is a really fun stage of the painting, especially when you've been working for so many hours. Being in the space, this trippy sensation of, okay, this is over here, and here it is again. So that's been really funny. Oh, that's a pretty fun angle. My usual mode for when I am in a studio is I really like to have something keeping me company, whether it's now, you know, usually a book, podcast, sometimes music, and now you. It really depends. Like I'm kind of particular about what like energy I let into here because you end up kind of infusing that into the piece. Fantasy, always be listening to. I'm always inspired by fantasy. Right. I don't think I can really talk while I'm painting. I forgot what I
was saying. I can do it when I'm teaching because I'm like really. I'm not gonna make coherent sense. I will see you on the flippy flop. I feel like I get to a certain point within a painting that, I mean, I've been working on this for like 90 hours at this point. I can't really see the painting anymore, and especially because it's so small in here, I can't back up, it's just hard for me to get a sense of how it's actually looking. So I'm gonna take some photos. It helps me kind of displace what I'm actually seeing. Sometimes seeing it in the camera is actually clearer seeing it in the photo, because the photo is actually summarizing the information a bit more, and then I'm able to kind of just get a more general idea of how things are looking. I think the painting is done. Not counting making all the paint or building the stretcher bar, I think 90 hours. So it's very exciting, maybe 95. We'll give us 100, nearly 100. All right, so this is done, and I am going to now work on my little ones. Yeah, I prepared this painting to be able to show to the Portland Press Herald, the Times Record. So I had a interview with them, with Christian, and she's very lovely. She wanted me to have something in the studio that really encompassed, exemplified what I do as an artist. This is sort of the biggest piece and the bookend of the series that I've been working on, Living Tiny Everyday Encounters. I'll definitely continue to make mixed media works and drawings, but working in this particular way, in this using this language of painting, this will be the last piece. It kind of feels like I'm in the kitchen. A huge part of my morning routine was getting the wood stove on, drinking some tea, but also transforming what was our bed into now the workstation. So I would have to add the super large table onto the bed surface. This would also involve bringing up my computer, my laptop, plugging every single thing in to be able to work for the day. Making the tiny moments in life monumental is not only the source of inspiration for this series, but also just all of my work. And what could be more special than having tea in the morning? I made a little latte. It's very good. Oh my God, that is good. I've got my chai brewing still. I don't want to rush it. And then I'll have my dirty chai. Dirty chai. I feel like I have a pizza. It's a little painting pizza. I've been working to create high impact with small pieces for a show that I'm doing. So I'm excited to share those pieces. I've been trying to think of a way to show that my earth pigments come directly from the earth. And so I think this is a cool, exciting idea. All right, I was just picking out branches from my little hat because I apparently got a lot of branches in me. I went outside and I took a ton of photos of my little guys. I edited just a couple of them just to be able to add them to my little Excel sheet. I just made a new tab for this specific show because I'm just putting 2 pieces into it because I want to send this to the gallery owner, so then I have all the information. So essentially, the painting feels very done to me and has felt very done, but there are certain elements that feel a bit shiny that I want to dull down. I thought it was like, oh, the paint is drying, but sometimes I add too much of the mixture that I do on top, and so you really have to make sure everything's like fully dry before you really check in on it. And then there's other areas that I can activate a tiny bit more that are a little bit too dull. So just going in there and just doing that, and then hopefully it will have enough time to fully cure and just be totally ready to go. Alright, so I got a little bit of the rainbow effect that comes in from my little crystal into the painting. Now I think she's done. Yes! I'm at a stage where I'm like, okay, I want to just like be done, but I also feel like
stop lying.
I have some time, like I could just work on it a little bit more. Why not? Oh, there he is. So I'm just gonna add a few tiny little things with the paint that I have left, because why not? And then I should probably eat, because it's like too late in the day for me to admit that it had taken until then to realize that I hadn't eaten a single thing. To get a couple of photos. Oh, now the ladder's in the way, but oh, there we go. Oh, that's so cool. Oh my God. We're up on the table. We're doing our best. The lighting is so good. I'm so happy. Got some detail shots. Because it's so large, who knows? Okay, individual little cups. Oh, he's so cute. I love this little basket. Our pretty light. The flowers are like my favorite part to paint. Not too shabby. So hopefully this weekend Dan and I can go and rent a U-Haul. Excuse me. Oh my God. Everything's fine. Barring my death from drinking this, it is time to move the big painting. Ah! Hello. Just taking my kitchen on the go. We've been spending so much time together right before the wedding. I started this before we got married, and then I made it. I got married, and then now it's done. I realized after I finished it, it came to represent the end of our beginning of 7 years of establishing my relationship with my now husband, of building our life together, of building our own home, of making our kitchen, and collecting all of these artifacts along the way that are so special to us. When you live really minimally, every single item is so important and becomes so monumental. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about my process of how I make my sustainable artwork inside of my tiny house. It was really fun to share it with you, and I will continue to create based off of these beautiful moments.
Bloopers.
Vitamin donut.
It's not to get me, it's to get like close up of this.
Oh boy. This was such a great experience making this painting. Like, it was great. But I definitely am like, okay, like, let's move on here. Dan was like, maybe it'll fit in the car. I'm like, we have a Subaru. Like, this thing is ginormous. I'll see.
No tea, no shade, but
No tea, no shade.
Look at that. They're like, go to the studio. There's tons of rainbows. It makes me so happy.
I eat bento for breakfast.
I'm coming for you, man. Is the girl small or is the painting big?
Both.
Both.
Excuse me, girl.